Imagine walking through a dense forest. Birds are singing, insects are humming, and the rustling of leaves creates a natural symphony. To most people, this is just background noise. But what if it's actually a conversation? What if birds aren't just chirping randomly, but actually warning each other of predators? What if whales are exchanging complex information across oceans? And what if your dog understands far more of what you say than you ever realized? Science is now uncovering something fascinating. Animals may have a secret language, one that is far more advanced than we ever imagined. The real question is, are they speaking and we just don't understand it? For centuries, humans believed they were the only creatures on Earth capable of language. We assumed animals could make sounds, express emotions, and even recognize familiar people. But actual complex communication, that was considered impossible. This idea started to change in the 20th century when scientists discovered that many species have their own intricate methods of communication. Some of them go far beyond what we ever expected. Take birds, for example. We often assume that birds just sing for fun or to attract mates. But new research shows that their songs are actually structured messages. Some bird species change their calls to warn others about specific predators, like different alarms for a hawk versus a snake. And then there are dolphins. Dolphins don't just communicate with clicks and whistles. Scientists discovered that each dolphin has a unique whistle, almost like a name. They use these names to call each other, to locate missing pod members, and even to form alliances. If dolphins and birds can do this, then what else is happening in the animal kingdom that we haven't yet deciphered? Now let's talk about whales. These giants of the ocean don't just make random sounds, they may have the oldest and most complex language on the planet. Humpback whales create songs that last up to 20 minutes, and the patterns change over time, almost like cultural evolution in language. The strangest part? Whales on opposite sides of the world change their songs in the same way, even without physical contact. Scientists believe that these patterns could be a form of long-distance communication, spanning entire oceans. In fact, sperm whales communicate in clicking sequences called codas. Each pod has its own dialect, just like human languages vary by region. So if whales have structured sounds that follow rules, and if these sounds evolve over time, could we one day translate what they're saying? Imagine if whales have been sharing knowledge across generations, perhaps even passing down information about ancient ocean conditions or interactions with humans. If we could truly understand them, what secrets would they reveal? Now, let's step away from the ocean and into the vast landscapes of Africa, where elephants communicate in a way we can barely perceive. Elephants don't just use trumpeting sounds. They also produce low-frequency rumbles that humans can't hear, called infrasound. These sounds travel through the ground for miles, allowing elephants to send messages across vast distances. But that's not all. Elephants have been observed mourning their dead, showing what seems to be grief. They return to places where family members have died, touching the bones with their trunks as if remembering them. Could it be that their language conveys emotions, memories, and even a form of storytelling? What if elephants pass down knowledge, warning younger generations about dangerous areas, food sources, or even past human encounters? We may never know, unless we find a way to decode their hidden vibrations. We already mentioned that birds have structured songs, but some birds, especially crows, take communication to a whole new level. Crows are one of the most intelligent animals on Earth. They recognize human faces, hold grudges, and teach each other which humans to trust and which to avoid. In one famous experiment, scientists wore masks while capturing crows. The crows learned to associate the masked faces with danger. And years later, without ever seeing those researchers again, they still attacked people wearing similar masks. This means crows pass knowledge across generations, just like humans do. Even more fascinating, some studies suggest that crows use tools and vocal patterns to describe objects. which could mean they have a form of symbolic language, something previously believed to be uniquely human. If we could understand the full complexity of their calls, could we one day have a real conversation with a bird? We know that dogs recognize human voices and emotions, but what if they understand far more than we assume? Recent studies suggest that dogs can recognize hundreds of words. Some, like a border collie named Chaser, have learned over 1,000 words and can differentiate between objects by name. But what's more shocking is how dogs respond to our emotions. They can sense when we're sad, stressed, or happy, sometimes even before we realize it ourselves. Cats, on the other hand, are often seen as less communicative. But recent studies show that cats recognize their owners' voices, even if they don't always respond immediately. If we could decode their body language, vocalizations, and interactions, would we finally understand what our pets are really trying to tell us? Throughout history, humans have assumed they were the only species capable of real language. But the evidence is growing. Animals might have been talking this entire time. We just haven't been listening properly. The question now is, can we develop a way to communicate back? With advances in AI and sound analysis, scientists are closer than ever to decoding animal communication. Some believe that within our lifetime, we might even develop a real way to talk with certain species. Imagine a world where we can ask a dolphin about the ocean, hear a crow's memories of the past, or finally understand what our dogs have been trying to tell us all along. Perhaps the true secret of animal language isn't whether they're speaking, but whether we're ready to understand. Do you think animals have a complex language that we simply don't understand yet? If so, which species do you think we should try to communicate with first? Let me know in the comments.